Beth, you guys are working on an interesting story. Records showing the Orlando Police Department used force 3,100 times over the last 4 years, more than double the rate of similar-sized agencies. I know you guys are getting a lot of reaction from your readers about this.
We are. This was a 11-month investigation. It ran in Sunday's newspaper and actually debuted on our website at the end of last week. We are getting an enormous amount of reaction, and the statistics in the story are really telling. I've got Scott Maxwell with me here. Scott is writing a column today about this project. Scott, tell me what some of your main takeaways are.
Yeah, well, this is something I've been writing about for a number of years, and a lot of us have. But what the Sentinel did, as you pointed out, is we spent about 10 or 11 months, and this was not something done quickly. This had 15 staffers and interns, data crunchers, all sorts of putting together. What they came up was that force is used in an arrest by OPD about 1 out of every 20 times. Yeah. Now, 5.6%. Now, that's not a lot. Obviously, 95% of these incidents have happened without any force use, but it's a lot compared to most other departments of similar size. It's about double of some of those in Tampa and Richmond. It's about 5 times the amount of times that officers use force at an agency like New Orleans, which I would argue has a lot of the same issues, a lot of tourism, rowdy tourists, to get large bar scene. Yeah, absolutely. So I think the numbers were stark. They're worth reporting. There's a lot of big settlements that get people $880,000 verdicts when juries look at this stuff and say, hey, for instance, this World War II veteran, an 84-year-old man, should not have been flipped over on his head and had his neck broken. And I think my takeaway from this package was sort of 2 points. One, OPD is doing a better job. Chief Mina over the last couple of years has been saying we've got a zero tolerance. There's going to be force. We all get force. Bad guys don't do the right thing. Sometimes you got to use a baton, you got to use pepper spray, sometimes you have to shoot them. But you don't use force when it doesn't need to be used, and Mina has tried to crack down on that. However, I'm going to submit the reason we have these issues is it has just been allowed to flourish in Orlando without really much punishment in the last few years. Yeah, you know, and I think that's an important point. The point here that was, I think, brought out by this huge package of stories is not that force doesn't need to be used by the police department. Clearly it does. There are occasions when it's absolutely justified. But these stories revealed time and time again cases where not only did force not need to be used, but the individuals that it was used against were not even prosecuted. And you know, when you're using force against people who aren't even charged with a crime, that's you know, a whole another issue. And I think it really does speak to a culture issue, because I think so. Chief Mina said time and time again, we tell our officers that the important thing is that they come home at the end of the night. And I think we would all agree that we all want to see our police officers come home at the end of the night. But this isn't just an us versus them mentality. No, and I think that mentality comes out. And I'll tell you 2 cases that really gave me the most pause. Is there was a woman, an 18-year-old, who one of the officers arrested, claimed that he attacked her. We got video. He charged her with a crime, actually. When the video came out, and OPD did not release the crime. The media, released the video. The media released the video. It showed that the woman did not touch him, and he shoved her face first into the sidewalk, breaking her teeth. Once again, OPD didn't come clean on this. The media did. And the other one was the neck-breaking case. In that case, a 20-something-year officer broke the neck of a World War II veteran. Not only did OPD not say anything was wrong, they didn't even conduct an internal affairs investigation. That's right. I'm going to submit that the mayor didn't ask any questions, the city council didn't ask any questions. That kind of thing sort of sets a tone, and I think allows a culture to breed. I think it's a culture they're starting to crack down on, but I think these numbers, well, they and the numbers are very clear that the use of force cases are trending down. If you look at a lot of the charts and what we reported on, the numbers are trending down, and that's a really good thing. But I also think that if it were not for the reporting done here, that the police department wouldn't even be fully aware, because they also said on a number of occasions, if you watch the videos of the interviews, yeah, we didn't even know about some of this until you made a public records request. And it's the same thing with that teeth-breaking case. After the media does a story that says, hey, this officer's report is not true, then they say, okay, we'll do something. Well, it shouldn't take the media or somebody else. And I'll tell you one other thing about this. Sometimes the mayor and the police chief have said, well, you know, citizens didn't get the whole story. Well, you know what gives citizens the whole story? Cameras. And we've been writing about cameras for years. And Orlando Police Department and the city of Orlando have absolutely dragged their feet. They are finally now starting to talk about getting cameras, but they're not even talking about having everybody equipped until 2018. Now, I don't have a whole lot of sympathy when you tell me we're not getting the whole story when you've made a decision not to give the public the whole story. Sure. So, and by the way, those cameras, in every place they've been used, force cases go down. It protects good cops from bad accusations.
And that's the thing that I like about cameras too, is that it is a protection for the officer, and it shows all of what they're doing right, as well as maybe those cases where something goes wrong.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it works both ways. So, well, thank you, Scott.
Oh,
Good
my
stuff.
pleasure.
Appreciate it. Amy.
It's a fascinating discussion, you guys, and not even just those body cameras, but getting those downtown cameras working. You guys remember it wasn't that long ago we had that shooting at that bar. The officer accidentally shot and killed a bar patron who had nothing to do with that scene, and that camera, that city camera, was not working that night. It was not operable, and that was a big problem with that case.
Yeah, that's another case that is featured fairly prominently in this package of stories, was that very case where an innocent bystander was killed. And yes, I mean, so there's an issue, you're right. The city supposedly has cameras all over downtown as a means of protection and a means of surveillance, basically. And you're right, after that case, we found that some of them were not working.
A really good backup. There have been a couple of cases where there has been supposedly a confrontation caught on camera, and somehow the video disappeared or got erased. Well, if you have cameras that are always running when an officer's wearing them, that problem doesn't happen.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, let's hope it certainly solves a lot of these issues, you guys. That's all of our hope to make our city safer.
And Amy, I want to jump in one more time and just tell you that we have a live chat with our reporters coming up at 1 o'clock today, less than an hour from now, on Reddit. So the reporters who led off this investigation will be available to answer questions.
And they're taking tough questions, whatever you want to know about this.
Yeah, they sure are.
So just go to reddit.com and you'll see the link there?
Yeah, go to, yes.
Okay, great.